The air was cold that morning, the sun was low, and the grass was wet with dew. A large crowd gathered around a steel cage in the middle of a big open field. Reporters held cameras. Dog trainers stood with clipboards. Farmers leaned on fences. Everyone was staring at one man and his dog. The man was Colton Royce, one of the richest men in the country. He wore a black coat and shiny shoes. His face was hard like stone. He was known for two things, money and power. But today all eyes were on his dog. The dog's name was Thunder, a huge black German shepherd with sharp eyes and a body full of scars. He had been abused, beaten, trained to attack. No one could touch him. No one could calm him. Colton stood in front of the cage, holding a gold check in one hand. $1 million, he said loudly. That's what I'll give to anyone who can sit beside this dog for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all. The crowd whispered. Some laughed. Few. Trainers stepped forward. Then stepped back again when Thunder barked loud and wild. His teeth showed. His body shook with anger. Colton smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Loyalty is not given, he said. It is earned, and no one has earned his. People looked away. Even the bravest trainers had no answers. But not far from the crowd, standing quietly with a toy bunny in her hand, was a little girl. Her name was Lena. She was 9 years old. Her brown hair was tied in 2 braids. She wore big purple headphones and soft sneakers. She didn't speak much. Loud sounds hurt her ears. Fast lights made her hide her face. Lena had autism, and the world often felt too loud. Too busy, too fast. Her mother, Rachel, had brought her here by mistake. They were only supposed to visit a friend who was setting up a food booth nearby. But Lena had wandered toward the cage. Eyes wide, heart still, Thunder scared everyone. But not Lena. She stood at the edge of the crowd, staring at him. Not with fear, but with something else understanding. "Mom," she said softly, tugging her mother's jacket. "I want to go near the dog." Rachel turned quickly. "Sweetie, no," she said. "He's dangerous." But Lena didn't move. "He's not angry. He's scared. It's like me, when I don't know what's going to happen." Rachel knelt down beside her. "Honey, I know you want to help. But this dog, he doesn't trust anyone. He bites." Lena looked again. Thunder wasn't barking now. He was staring back at her. His ears twitched. His body was tense, but his eyes. They were searching. She took a deep breath. "I want to try." Before Rachel could stop her, Lena stepped forward. The crowd saw her and gasped. A child? What was happening? Colton raised his eyebrows. "What's this?" "Little girl wants to be a hero." Rachel rushed forward. "She doesn't understand. Please. She just wants to help. She can try," Colton said, his voice calm but cold. "If she can calm him, she'll earn her $1 million." Lena walked slowly toward the cage. Thunder growled once, but didn't move. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She sat down cross-legged on the grass a few feet from the cage. From her hoodie pocket, she pulled out a tiny wooden flute. It was old, scratched and silent when she first blew on it. Soft note, then another. Not a song. Just a sound, gentle, kind, like a whisper. Thunder stopped. Moving. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. He listened. The crowd froze. Colton's smile faded just a little. And Lena, she kept playing. Eyes closed, hands steady. Something had begun. Something no one could explain. Not with money, not with power, only with feeling. Lena sat on the ground just outside the ring. Her little legs were crossed, her soft stuffed bunny by her side. The wooden flute rested gently in her hands. She didn't look scared. She didn't shake. She just sat still and breathed softly. Crowd didn't understand what was happening. Some thought she was too young to know the danger. Others whispered that she must be too quiet to make a difference. But Thunder the wild, growling dog stopped barking. His big black paws hit the dirt as he took a slow step forward. Then another. His ears twitched. His nose lifted to the air, smelling something. Not fear, not anger, Just calm. Colton Royce stood behind the crowd, arms crossed, face tight. He whispered to his assistant, "She's just lucky.
How?
Dogs like Thunder don't change." But his words didn't sound strong anymore. Rachel, Lena's mother, clutched her chest with both hands. Her heart was pounding. "Please," she whispered, "please don't hurt her." Lena didn't know how many eyes were watching her. She didn't care. The world was always too loud for her people, talking fast, lights flashing, everyone expecting her to speak when she didn't have the words. But with the flute, she didn't need words. She closed her eyes and played. The notes were not perfect. Some were soft, some faded with her breath. But the melody was gentle, sweet. It was the same tune her grandfather used to hum when storms came and she was too scared to sleep. It made her feel safe. Now she hoped it would do the same for Thunder. The big dog stood still, just a few feet away. His body was still tense, but his growl had stopped. His tail wasn't wagging, but it wasn't high with anger. Either he watched Lena slowly, carefully. She opened her eyes. Thunder didn't move. He only blinked. She whispered to him, soft and slow, "It's okay. I'm scared too. Sometimes." Thunder tilted his head. It was a small movement, but it made the crowd gasp, because it meant he was listening. Lena held out her hand, palm up, like her mom taught her when meeting a shy animal. She didn't move fast. She didn't speak loud. "I won't touch you if you don't want me to," she said softly. Thunder inched closer. His nose lowered to sniff her hand. His breath was hot and heavy. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel alone. Lena smiled just a little. "You're not bad," she whispered. "They just didn't understand." "You." The dog's body relaxed just enough for his chest to rise and fall slower. His front legs bent, and then he sat. The crowd gasped again. "He's sitting." He's actually sitting. Colton's mouth dropped open. He checked his watch. The timer had started. 1 minute passed, then 2. Thunder stayed beside her. He didn't bark. He didn't move. 3 minutes. 4. Colton's hands tightened into fists. Lena put her flute in her lap and looked at Thunder. "You don't have to be scared anymore," she said. "I know what that feels like." Then came minute 5. Still, dog sat, a quiet. Fell over the whole place. Lena reached out gently and touched the fur on Thunder's neck. He didn't pull back, didn't snap. He closed his eyes. Rachel finally stepped forward, tears in her eyes. She knelt beside her daughter. "You did it," she whispered. "Sweetheart, you really did it." Lena looked at her, then at Thunder. "No. We did it," she said. "Just needed someone who wouldn't yell. Someone who would just be there." The crowd clapped. Some cried. Reporters took photos, but Lena didn't care. She wasn't there for money. She was there because she saw a dog who reminded her of herself. Someone who didn't fit. Someone who needed loyalty before anything else. No one in the crowd made a sound. People held their breath. Cameras pointed, but even the reporters forgot to speak. All eyes were on the little girl sitting cross-legged on the grass, and the big black dog standing just a few feet away. Lena was not shaking. She was not afraid. She simply played her tiny wooden flute, letting soft notes float into the air like a quiet wind. And Thunder, the feared German shepherd, did not growl. He did not bark. He just watched her, head tilted, ears forward. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but didn't dare say it. This had never happened before. Colton Royce, the billionaire who owned Thunder, stood frozen. His arms were crossed, but his fingers were tight. Like he didn't understand what he was seeing. For a full minute, Thunder did nothing. Then slowly he walked forward. 1 step, 2 steps. Lena kept playing, not looking at him, not rushing. The dog circled her once, carefully. Then he sat. Yes, Dash sat. The crowd gasped. A trainer dropped his coffee. Someone whispered, "Is he?" Listening to her? Colton's voice came sharp. "Start the timer." A man with a watch did so. 5 minutes, he said.
"That's the
rule." Rachel, Lena's mother, stood near the edge, tears in her eyes, hands pressed over her mouth. She knew her daughter, knew how hard the world was for her. How strange, how scary, how loud. But here she was, calm and focused, sitting beside the one creature that no one else could calm. 2 minutes passed. Thunder's eyes were still on Lena. His chest rose and fell slowly now. No more growling, no more barking. She stopped playing. Slowly, she lowered her flute and placed it beside her. Then she did something no one expected. She whispered, "It's okay. I don't like loud places either." And then she reached out her hand. The crowd held its breath again. Thunder looked at her hand. He didn't move. Then very gently he leaned forward and pressed his nose to her fingers. Rachel sobbed. Colton looked away, like something inside him was breaking. For minutes, Lena kept her hand on Thunder's head. He didn't move. He just sat there like he had been waiting his whole life for this moment. For someone who didn't shout, or pull, or demand. Someone who simply saw him. 5 minutes, then 6, then 7. The man with the watch whispered, "It's done." But no one clapped. No one cheered. They couldn't. The feeling was too deep, too heavy, too full. Even the air felt different. Lena looked up at her mom. "Can we take him home?" Rachel nodded, barely able to speak. Thunder stood and followed. Lena, not with a leash, not with fear, but with quiet steps full of trust. Colton finally stepped forward, voice quiet now. "How did she do that?" Rachel turned to him. She didn't try to control him, she just listened. "That's something you never did." Colton didn't answer. For once, the man who had everything had no words. As they walked away, the crowd slowly began to clap, not for a prize, not for money, but for something more powerful than any bet. Trust, loyalty, and love. Later that night, back at their small home, Lena sat on the floor with Thunder beside her. He rested his head on her lap. She gently stroked his back. "You're not bad," she said softly. "You were just scared. Me too." Thunder gave a soft sigh and closed his eyes. Rachel stood in the doorway, smiling through tears. Her daughter hadn't just tamed a dog. She had found a friend, a true friend. And in a world that didn't always understand her, that meant more than anything. The next morning, the world knew her name. Lena Brooks. The little girl with autism who calmed a wild dog that even the richest man couldn't control. Her picture was everywhere, on TV, in newspapers, on phones. But at home, she was the same girl, sitting on the porch with her toy bunny in her lap and Thunder by her side. He stayed close to her now. Not because she made him, because he chose to. That was the part no one could understand. Not even the dog experts who came to visit. They asked questions, studied Thunder's behavior, offered money, even begged to take him for testing. But Thunder would growl low whenever someone tried to take him from Lena. His growl wasn't angry, it was a warning, a promise. He would never leave her. Colton Royce, the billionaire, arrived 2 days later in his black car. Reporters followed, hoping to see a fight or maybe a deal. But Colton didn't bring cameras this time. He brought something else. He walked up to the porch where Lena sat. Thunder stood and placed himself between them. Eyes hard and still. Lena didn't speak. Colton cleared his throat. "I came to say thank you." Lena blinked. "For what?" "Reminding me that not everything can be bought. And not every broken thing needs to be fixed with force." Lena didn't answer. But Thunder stepped aside. Just one step. Colton looked down at the dog who had made him look weak in front of the world. "I tried to control him. You gave him something better." "I gave him a friend," Lena said softly. That night, Thunder didn't sleep outside like usual. Curled beside Lena's bed, his back touching the wooden frame, his breathing soft and slow. He didn't like closed doors or small spaces, but with her, it felt safe. The days passed. Thunder followed her everywhere, through the woods, to the lake, even to school, where the teachers allowed him to sit quietly in the back corner. The other kids watched from a distance. Some were scared at first, but they started to understand. One day, a boy named Jonah asked, "Why does he always stay with you?" Lena looked at Thunder, then said, "Because I don't expect him to be perfect, and he doesn't expect me to be either." Jonah nodded. He didn't laugh or tease like some kids did. He just said, "That's cool." The town began to change. People stopped calling Thunder a monster. They stopped calling Lena strange. They started calling them heroes, but neither of them cared for those words. Lena still loved quiet mornings, soft songs on her flute, and sitting under trees. Thunder still didn't like sudden noise, flashing lights, or yelling. But he never left her side, even when the mayor offered a medal, even when big companies offered deals, even when Colton came back with a second dog, one more broken than Thunder had ever been. Her name was Shadow. She had been beaten, locked in cages, and trained with pain. Her body was thin. Her eyes were afraid of everything. Colton had finally learned. He brought her not for testing, but for healing. Lena sat beside Shadow without touching her. She played her flute, soft, slow. Thunder lay beside her, calm and strong. His presence was quiet, but his loyalty said everything. Shadow didn't move at first. Then she took a step, then another, then. She laid down beside Thunder, no growl, no bark. Just trust. Lena looked up at Colton, who stood watching from the gate. "It's not about power," she said. "It's about patience." And from that day, the world stopped asking how Lena tamed Thunder, because they saw the truth. She didn't tame him. She earned something stronger, his loyalty, and he gave it forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the strongest bond doesn't need words, just loyalty.